Can you hear?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, good evening, Martin County.
Yeah.
Good evening. This is the MCBE Wednesday show.
Yes.
And I'm your co-host, John Campion, with world famous Frank Mezzapel, also known as Big Frank.
Yes. Yeah. Did you hear the backstory of what happened last week?
No, I didn't. Go
a
ahead.
couple weeks ago.
Let us know.
So Lee Carroll has been doing this to me, for I don't know how long, referring to me as Big Frank. So him and his wife last Saturday, not the Saturday, but the Saturday before, saw me over at LA Fitness. And I was working with a trainer. It's part of the thing when you join, you have to do at least one session with a trainer as part of your stick. Okay, fine. So I signed up for that. So I happened to be there the same Saturday. Lee and his wife Mabel are working out. All right. And say hi, and say, hey, hi, Big Frank. So, okay, fine. And then, so I'm going through the whole exercise routine. So this guy's just beat me up a half hour of this routine. So I'm on my back. They're stretching me out afterwards, It's like, And then, of course, Lee comes over. He goes, hey, Big Frank, how you doing? And then Mabel does. And then Randy Pennington was there also.
Another member of our team from
the
Center
band.
State.
Mhm.
Yes.
And him and his wife say, hey, Big Frank, how you doing? And then some other guy, I don't even know, just big, bodybuilder guy goes, hey, Big Frank, how you doing?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We got our first call already.
So it's like, so the guy that's, stretching me out, he goes, why do they keep calling you Big Frank? I says, well, you've never seen me in the showers. So anyways, it was.
Can you say that?
It's too late.
You said that, right? You're gonna see. Okay, well, we've got a call here. This is very
WSTU.
exciting. Okay.
It's just a recorded.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so they thought you were Mr. Celebrity.
Yeah,
over there.
Stud Muffin celebrity.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it was just a lot of fun.
Big things come in small packages.
They were just poking fun at me, and so it was fun though. We had a good time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's a good opener. I like that. We are really blessed today to have one of our really cool members. Actually,
Yeah.
he has been a member of MCBE since its inception, and we have Pete Navarrete from the Lighthouse Wealth Management Group, UBS Financial Services. Pete Navarrete, welcome.
Thank you. Always enjoy it.
Pete,
Great.
Pete is he knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there going, what are we talking about today? A lot of good stuff, but he's been in the financial business for since Christ was a carpenter.
1984.
Okay,
All right.
that's about when it all started, right?
Yeah, 1984.
Yeah, I gotcha. 84.
Okay.
But anyways, it's great to have Pete here. We got a lot of different things we can talk about. Actually, told us, what can I say?
Yeah.
I really love that quick story you gave us this morning about one of the times you were on here, and somebody called.
Yeah. It was interesting. When you're on the radio and you hope somebody calls in and says hello or is listening to what you say.
One of our 34 listeners.
And so, now
where are we up to?
We're up to 54. Now.
Okay, 54.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, this fellow called in and he wanted to thank the show
Yeah.
for the information we were putting out, and I had invited people just out in my office and give a report I was giving to anyone who stopped by or called me or wanted it, and he stopped by. And interesting guy. He's from Colorado, lives here 6, 7, 8 months out of the year, but owns 3 or 4 businesses. So it was a nice conversation we had about finances and planning and this type of thing.
Right.
And it was amazing because he was a really successful businessman,
Mhm.
and we were sitting there chatting, and he finally said, I need some financial planning, in a lot of different ways. And what his idea of financial planning was is very different from a business standpoint than me sitting, listening, and then recommending or suggesting what he should do. So it was nice, and it was a good thing. And so I encourage people who are on this show
Right.
that have services, to make sure that the public out there knows that they can get these services, and there's no cost to it.
Right.
Which is
Yeah, I think that would confuse a lot of people too when they're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what do
Sure.
I do, because
Yeah,
particularly, we end up having, some older listeners, people who, I myself just recently in the last couple of years, due to some things happening in the family, kind of
Sure.
hooked up and took care of things and got it behind me. But all these years, I was always like, how am I going to do this? Who am I going to talk to? Who do I trust?
yeah, and that's the other thing, and the relationships you form through the financial planning thing are really cool, because it's an ongoing type thing that you kind of work with through your lives and your family's lives and all types. It's very rewarding from my standpoint to see that, and also very rewarding for the clients, hopefully. And it's this time of the year for us, and I know we were talking about what am I doing now, what's going on. Usually the first question is what's going on with the markets.
Oh, exactly.
What's happening out there?
Right.
That type of thing.
And
I get a lot of that.
The markets are going crazy because of the United States and Turkey kind of duking it out over financial issues.
Yeah, there's a couple of times I was on the show, and
Trade.
I told people one of the things you keep your mind on, or in your thoughts, if you want to think about it at all, or else just turn off the TV, is the debt side of the market. That's where the problems start. Like with a company like Turkey, or Greece, or us.
Yeah.
Okay. The debt that they owe, that's what panics people, because as soon as the country,
Are they going to be able to service that debt?
they can't service their debt, there's runs on the banks and so on and so forth. And people think that only happens, foreign countries. It happens in the United States. Our country, our government country does not run unless we sell our debt. That's what runs our country. We do not collect enough money through all the various ways we collect money, taxes, etc., to run the country. So what do? If you look at it this way, and I've always looked at it this, I spent some years in Washington, D.C., and one of my mentors up there always told me one thing just to remember: the government itself does not make any money,
Right.
other than on the machine.
Right.
So
They
they
just
spend
reallocate
money.
Right.
Okay, and they take money from X and they put it in, so on and so forth. So you look at some of the bigger countries, and that's what the situation is. It's happening in Turkey, and so that puts a little bit of even though it's not a big economy, when it affects.
All the neighboring economies.
Yeah, and we have a relationship with those still. Sure. Although it's a little bit rocky at some times, but that'll all work itself out. So the debt side of the market is really something that disturbs the stock part of the market.
Right.
A lot. So that's one thing that's going on now. Besides all the other political rhetoric, that I don't think the stock market,
Right.
pays a lot of attention
No, it's
to that.
a bunch of white noise.
I mean,
Yeah.
you see some days that where you have ups, downs, and this type of thing. But you're looking at a market at 25,000.
Right.
So you're going to have those days, and the interesting thing about it, the number is scary, because if a 25,000 market goes down 1%, that's a big number. Okay, versus if it was 8,000 or 9,000 and it went down 1%. So just the visual of that, is kind of like scary a little bit when you hear it on TV. Oh, the market's down 700 points or 800 points, and we're back there yawning, because we're looking at it from an economic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So, bring me to what I wanted to talk about is that now when we look at our existing clients, we do our financial reviews for our existing clients a little bit earlier than maybe some other groups. You don't wait till this is the last quarter. We want to have it done by November, because December is a crazy month. Lots of things going on. There's some tax things you have to be careful about in December, so on. So we're going through that now. We have a lot of client meetings. We want to make sure that they understand, what has happened to their account over the last year. What type of strategy should we employ relative to large gains if they have those, many people have some embedded gains,
Yeah.
that are pretty good. And at this point, what do you say, and what do you do, and how do you react? Because in a normal business cycle, and I'm a businessman just like anybody else, and you notice that as the years go by, we've been on a pretty decent run there from 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, and everybody that doesn't think
It's going to correct, right?
well,
a little
if
bit.
it normally corrects, you can see certain things happening now. Like there was a big article, and it may have been in the Stewart News, or I'm not sure if that.
Well, it was a big article. It would have taken up the whole paper.
They
It was the
made
Stewart News. It's
an
okay.
interesting point about two things that happened: the amount of debt
Yeah.
that is being taken on now, and because as soon as you start to get employment, okay, you have more money in motion,
Right.
okay, and that money tends to be put back into the economy in a variety of different ways. Okay, bigger ticket items, cars, washing machines, television sets, all of these types of things that you really don't get if it goes the other way.
Right. People are spending money.
So we're starting to head into that stormy area, because for the past 7 or 8 years, we had the best of both worlds. We had interest rates that were extremely low. So if you were a borrower at that point, or if you could borrow dollars,
Yeah.
that was another whole story.
Right.
You were borrowing it at really, really low rates. Okay, and unemployment was starting to pick up. So things are really, really on a roll. It was the perfect situation. Okay, you had the bond market, which was really low because interest rates. The stock market was rising because businesses were improving. Okay, but now we're going the other way. If you were a betting man at this point, say, well, where do you think interest rates are going to be in a year and a half? They're going to be higher. Cost of money will be higher. Now, that supposedly is offset by growth.
Correct.
Once you have that growth, just pause a little bit, you start to get into problems. So my situation, what we're telling our clients, we're probably about 2 years away,
All right.
in that situation. So let's,
But it'll be a modest correction. If
well,
anything.
not so
Yeah.
much correction, but here's the thing, Frank, what's the interesting thing is, when you say to somebody, I think you should really actually make the money, some people have a really, really difficult time doing that. And what I really mean is that if let's say you bought a stock at $25 and now it's 50,
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
and you walk into my office and I say, I think we ought to, it may be time, because this thing might slow down in the next year. I think it's time to take some money off the table. Many people will think, well, what happens if it continues to go up?
Right.
Okay, so they have a tendency to hold on to it until it starts to go down, and they figure they can lose, the $25 before they get back to even. And that's a very dangerous way to look at it. So right now, what we're saying is that I think you should be
Taking some off the table.
take some gains, take those dollars, and not say you're going to not go in the market, back in the market at all,
Right.
but you can do, and the short-term rates, CDs, anything short, okay, to keep your money liquid would be okay to do at this point. So, that's just a strategy that we talk about all the time. Now, it also, again, it depends on so many things, your age, the kind of account it is, you treat maybe a retirement account different than a non-retirement account. Also, all sorts of things come into the picture,
Right.
but that's why we review the plan, going back to what I said originally.
Right.
Okay, so we review that, but we also want to know what has changed in their lives over a period of time. And believe me, lots of things change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 1 year rule.
Yeah.
That's what I always use as a barometer for myself and other people. Just do the 1 year rule. Think of what's going on a year ago in your life, and
Yeah,
think what's
sure.
changed.
Yeah, and lots of good things.
Absolutely.
So you want to be right there with them, and so that's something that we're doing now. It's I would say for the investor out there that they should have that conversation with whomever their advisor is somewhere in the next 2-3 months. Okay.
Really, that soon? Okay.
Well, no,
For this year, right?
For this year.
All right.
And now, going back to what I was saying, as far as the market is concerned, do I think it still has some legs? Yeah,
Yeah.
probably does.
I have a couple questions. We have to
Go,
take,
go. No, we're
okay?
good. We got another 8 minutes.
A couple things I wanted to ask you, Pete.
Yeah.
One of the things that when I've been in Florida 15 years, and of course, one of the things that I kind of had reviewed when I came here was there's cycles in Florida, from what I understand, and I heard that it was like a 9-year cycle.
9 years.
So in other words, what's interesting is after things turned around after we came out of 2008. You playing with that for Frank?
No.
Okay. Someone pulled the plug. Is everything working?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. So with that in mind, I remember back a couple of years ago when I was watching everything, I kept saying, well, when 2017 comes around, we're going to start seeing a decline. When, things are just still escalating and moving along. So,
Well, the decline, I don't think we're going to see like what happened in 07 and a financial collapse or this type of thing. I think the rules and regulations probably got a little too stringent, but they can back off those and so on. So I don't think we're going to see that. But a normal business cycle is different now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, because the economies are so much bigger now. Okay, there's so much this, not only in our country, but in other countries that are affecting our countries. So you don't know where they are exactly in their business cycle. So, you have to look at all of those and kind of evaluate. I think the only thing that happens with us in this country is that the Federal Reserve has its hand on the trigger now because they see inflation coming in and so on and so forth. And that's a natural happening when there's more money flow.
Right.
It's natural.
Yes.
And that happens, so it gets to the point, and then, they'll say, well, things are getting too hot out there. So we need to slow it down. And the way they do that, they raise rates. So and when they raise those rates, what they're basically doing is the short-term rates, which businesses will have to pay more for expansion. Okay, so they're only working with the short-term rates. The long-term rates, mortgages that go up in sympathy of those, because you don't want to have a flat yield curve. One that goes up like this, kind of goes up. So I've always been very optimistic about our businesses in our country and the ability for them to react. And most businesses have. I think 2007 and that group, that scared a lot of people because they didn't know what happened. And when you look back and you see and you really read through it, and I've studied it probably as much as the next guy, and looked at some of the instruments that came into play because of that. It was just building up to a tremendous pimple.
Well, and one of the things that started off at the beginning of the show was talking about, people wonder, what it costs to work with a financial advisor and this and that.
Yeah.
Just, with that in mind, and, people are probably very, a little more protective of their money. But if I remember correctly, sometimes you got to get slapped around a little bit. But also the big thing that happened prior to that mess in 2008, I know I'm kind of jumping around from what I said, is the fact that it was very lax on people who were wanting to buy homes. Isn't that
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that messed everything up because they weren't requiring that 20%, let's say.
Well, one of the things that was able to happen is that why the banks were able to loan to buyers that weren't as qualified as were before is they were able to package those mortgages together, sell those mortgages with an insurance policy, attached to those mortgages, and then when the people that had those mortgages couldn't pay, both things fell apart.
And that was
It was trillions of dollars,
I mean, it
trillions of
was
dollars.
just what was happening around here up in
Sure.
St. Lucie County. I mean, it was just beyond, comprehension after a while.
You know, it was interesting though, because if you read through the old Glass-Steagall Act, the Glass-Steagall Act was an act that was put in many years ago to keep the banks and the investment world separate. Okay, those walls came down. And that was just before '07.
Okay.
And they were allowed to do some things that would have not been allowed to do before. So what happens as a result of that, fortunately or unfortunately, the regulations right now, or they've been eased off, but right around, 09, 2010, they were tough.
Yeah.
Okay? They didn't want, banks wouldn't lend to anyone. And of course, the banks make money by lending money.
Right.
Okay, and they weren't able to do that, so had a problem.
Interestingly enough, we were talking about inflation and rates and things of that sort. On this day in history, because I love to do on this day. 1971, President Richard Nixon announced a 90-day freeze on wages and prices, an attempt to halt rapid inflation.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I remember that. We lived through
Well,
it.
you know what causes inflation basically is that when you look at it this way, if you and I all of a sudden, or the country had big employment and we were getting raises and the money was flowing, this type of thing, savings, yeah, we did a little bit of that, so on and so forth. We went out and we bought stuff.
Yeah.
We bought stuff. Okay, as much stuff as we could accumulate. I remember the years when everybody was buying as much stuff as they could get, and yeah, I do nothing wrong with it except that you need to be able to afford it,
Right.
because buying on time doesn't exist anymore. And, we were talking about that one time.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting here.
Layaway plan, yeah.
Yeah, remember
Yeah,
that? I mean,
sure.
you never got the item until you paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't remember when that changed. Someone
That doesn't have that. There isn't that anymore.
Yeah, you
Well,
can
you
still do
can, but
layaway
yeah, I
at
thought so.
Walmart, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most people do what? They get the item and then they pay for it.
Oh, yeah, if they get around
So
to
their
it,
first question is, how much a month is that going to be?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. What are the payments?
How
Yeah.
the hell am I going to do this? Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, Frank?
Yes,
Martin
indeed.
County Business Exchange show Wednesday night. It's John Campion, your co-host, with Frank Mezzapel and our guest. Sorry about
Pete
that.
Neveretta.
Yeah, I wanted to go.
From the Lighthouse Wealth Management Group, UBS Financial Services. We'll be right back, and got a few things we're going to discuss.
All right, so stay
We'll be right
tuned.
back.
We'll be right back. Stay there.
Somebody should, I was going to tell them they could come by or send call me. I did one of these things.
Gotta be the-
Yeah, do my library.
Just pretty neat.
And, Pete, I think one of the things I learned at one of our, maybe it was at our, at one of the executive meetings was, you were talking something about, people think that, like you were just saying, it doesn't cost anything. And how, maybe can we talk about how, there are people I know out there that can be my age, a little younger, a little older, who are going, I'm not sure what to do. How do I,
And now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What we decided to do years ago in our business is to make that a part of our business plan. You wanted to come in and do a financial plan, Frank wanted to come in and do a financial plan, somebody else wanted to come in and do a financial plan. Fine, we will do that. When you become a client of ours, that's your choice.
but you wouldn't charge like a retainer for that or something. We were just talking about this at our store last night,
No charge.
about people coming in.
You know why? You know what, John, when I think about
I think
it,
this is important.
I think about it this way, I've been in business a long time, in the same town. And I've always felt that I need to as a professional in my business, give something back to my business and the people that know me and relate to me. So I just started years ago. I was going to do planning. I was going to sit down. And I started. It was just on a yellow pad and did all this stuff and kept that in their file and their files and pulled it out every year and kind of reviewed it and this type of thing. And I've found over the years why it becomes something that I fully believe in. Rewarding to me, unbelievable. Especially when you're in the same town. Which I see kids go to schools, cars, people get married, this, that, people pass away. You're part of their lives when you're planning that. So, and I told our team, the Lighthouse Group, and my son, who's been with me now 20-something years, that's the way you maintain a relationship with the people in your community in the business world, if you're going to be a business person. Okay. Your value added, okay, is a tremendous plus. That's the way you will build a business. That's the way you'll maintain your business.
I agree with you. That's the point I'm making here, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely very enforcement, but this I'll also talk about this little thing too. Yeah, they also want to know, some people like to know, how do I make my money?
Oh, I know what you're going to ask.
The beat goes on. I thought that was appropriate because Pete has got a new ticker. The beat goes on.
Pete's got
goes
a
on.
beat.
Yeah.
I can hardly keep up with him walking across the street.
That's right, man.
You should see the guy get close. Now we're back on. This is John Campion, your co-host with Frank Mezzapel, and our wonderful guest from the Martin County Business Exchange, Pete Navarrete from the Lighthouse Wealth Management Group. And I just want to make a little pitch here for our networking group, Pete, because one is
I love that picture, by the way.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
The Martin County Business Exchange is basically, we think it's its 31st year. And Pete is
One of the founding members.
one of the founding members of it. So, when we talk about our historians in the group, Pete is right there. How big is that trophy you got for being there? Yeah, I think.
I get the same one, Frank.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of spoon stuff.
Yeah.
But
attaboys are okay.
we just want to let anybody out there who's listening, particularly your business owner, that we're always looking for new members to join our group. We meet once a week, every Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock at the Elks Lodge. And we have networking for about a little over a half hour, 40 minutes. And then we sit down and have a wonderful breakfast. And we talk some more and introduce and pat each other on the back and encourage on doing business with each other. We like to think we're the best of the best.
Well, what's interesting about that, it's a true, I remember when we started this, the reason we started. And, all of us in our lives in a town, you belong to a different organization, Elks,
Right.
all these different things. And what we wanted to do was just business guys, just have breakfast, once or twice a month. That's the way it started. Just talk about business and if we could help each other find, and so on and so forth. And that's the way it started. And, it's still that way.
Right.
Which is great. So for a business owner out there, if you're an owner of a business and you want to kind of hang out with guys that are, your peers, that's a great way to do it.
Guys and gals.
Guys and gals. Sorry, gals.
Yeah.
No, it's all right. We've got some nice gals in
I know.
there.
Right. Mike
And I'm
Lucci
sure
used
they're
to
all
refer to it as friendship marketing. Right.
Yes.
And for the older people that have been in Stewart a while, this was started by Perry, who had Forest Men's Shop.
Oh yeah.
It was the only men's shop in town.
I had one of his suits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody did.
sure.
You had to, or else
Yeah.
I'd kill you.
He was right here, right here in the corner. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good time.
It's fun to hear the stories, and we've got just under 60 members. We're always looking for more. We're you have to live in you have to have your business in Martin County, business 2 years. We prefer the principal of the company you know, we're looking for, we've got a hit list of all kinds of stuff. Go to our website, mcbe.org,
.org.
and then, or you go to McBiz.us,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And there's a whole thing in there about everything about our group, and it's a fun group. And you know, you can always call down here if you can get Big Frank on the phone
Yeah.
at right here at 220-9788 WSTU is
Right.
the place. And you know, we're looking for people all the time. You know, just as an example, dry cleaner, maybe a pet groomer, a pool company,
Florist.
an upholster, a florist, a
Yeah.
veterinarian. I mean, you know, and you get vetted, we check you out, and we get to decide if we want you.
Now,
So,
if we had a veterinarian on our team, would they be vetting the new?
Be vetting
well,
themselves.
after a couple of years, they could be the core vet.
They could
of
be.
everything.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, we've
Driving the
We've
business.
got some really great members. So I really enjoy the group. I enjoy the once a week we have offshoots of what happened with that. We've really become great friends with everybody. So,
That's cool.
anyways, that's my pitch,
Good.
and I wanted to make sure I did that. And we've got great leadership aboard
We
and
do.
everything. So, anyways, it's all there, and please check us out. And also, you'll see one of our ads from one of our members every day on the billboard there at the corner at Canner and Monterey, heading when you're heading east, and it will let you know at the bottom that it's Martin County Business Exchange. So,
It's really cool.
so Pete,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we were one of the things that I discussed. We started at the beginning talking about when you're looking for a financial planner and this and that.
Yes.
You know, how do you do it? Are you intimidated? And of course, you know, you having been in this community for a long time,
Yes.
and the fact that you take it personal as a business, you've got your son involved, you got a really tight group of folks over there,
Yes.
and what a great way to fall into a company and people that you wouldn't know unless you
Well, you know,
stepped up to the plate.
I've like I said, I started my career a while ago, and I always felt that the planning part of it was the basis of my whole business. And you know, I get asked this all the time: what does it cost me to do something like that? You know, what are they going to charge me? Well, our group had decided years and years and years ago that that's just part of doing business in Stewart and Martin County. So for those people who want to have a plan done, you know, there's no cost to that plan. It is no requirement that you become clients of ours or anything like that. That's your choice. You know, so we've been doing it this way for a long time, and it's really a valuable thing to do. So, you know, it's available to everyone. Let me give you.
Where are you located? Let's
yeah.
talk about some of that
Oh,
stuff.
well, we always joke about this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My office. Ready, Frank?
Yeah, I'm ready.
My office. It's on East Ocean Boulevard, right next to Park Pharmacy.
Right.
Right. Which anybody who's been in town a long time knows. You know,
Yeah.
Charlie Justice.
Yeah, it's right.
Park
That's right
Pharmacy.
adjacent to my church. They're
Right.
the same
So
area.
it's right there, and we have a big sign says UBS, and that's where my office is located. My phone number, if you want to call me, my direct line, which is right to my office, is 772-223-6639. That's right into my office. So if you want to come by, and just talk about financial planning and find out what it's all about and what it entails and so on, just call me and stop by, have a cup of coffee, and we'll just chat about it. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to
I
mention.
could send you an email too. I see how easy you are. Navarrete@ubs.com.
Right. That's
That's
it.
2 T's in Navarrete.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
can't pronounce the first part,
Yeah.
you know, you have to go through me.
Yeah, and you know the thing is, you're not gonna sign anything and pay for anything. You just commit it, and you just start the process, and it can be as involved as you are.
Mm.
You know, no one knows people's lives and this type of thing.
Right.
But it's something that you'll be able to take with you and kind of live along with, which is the nice part about it, because I've seen it happen over the years. You know, experience the success of those things.
Right.
There's a couple of things I'd like to mention is that you know, there's the Hartford Mutual Funds runs a lab through MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And I've been involved with them for almost my whole career.
Wow.
Not investing in their funds and everything, but finding out what they're doing. And they came up with this brochure which shows you all of the various little websites you can go into for a variety of different things. It's mostly geared toward older people, but it has like where would you look, or what would you go into for staying on the job, healthcare, staying mobile. How do you communicate with your children, or this type of thing? So it's in one brochure. It's pretty nice, and all you have to do is call my office. I'll make sure you get one. I'll send you one, and mail. It's kind of like a nice little brochure, but it's really cool.
Pete shared that with us about a year ago.
It's pretty cool.
And it's very practical.
Yeah. There's another one too out there that that I just started sending out, which is really interesting. Is that lots of people have trust accounts and this type of thing, and they don't. How do you keep track of it? And what numbers do you put in it? This is a whole brochure which says if you're the trustee, because most people start out as a trustee of their own trust, and there's this successor trustee, make sure they have all this information available to them. It's a wonderful thing that was put out. I'm not so sure if it was Hartford. It might have been the MIT lab. I think it was. And so that's available too. It's just some great things out there that help people do that.
Cool.
So anyway, there we go.
Now, how big is your organization? You have you have.
Oh, UBS.
That's
is,
massive.
With 55,000 employees
Right.
all over the
And
world.
then your office here in town.
We have about 15 of us in this office.
Okay.
Wow. Mostly teams. It's very difficult to do our business as a sole practitioner anymore. Because we're doing all sorts of different things. Plus, the technology is really stepped up, and I'm fortunate to have a younger person with babies. My son who understands technology a lot better than I do. But
You can read putts better than
yeah, we have a great, I have a great person that takes services our clients, Karen Clinton, who's been with me for a long period of time. Paul Stanislaus, my other partner, he spends 6 months of the year. We have a big client base in Massachusetts. Plus, I'm registered in every state, and I've got clients almost in every state in the United States. It's interesting. Some of them I've never met.
Wow.
But it's pretty cool. But so that's another facet of the business. So you can service it. But the one thing we talk about all the time, and we have our own meetings and so on and so forth. We meet as a group, usually by phone because Paul's away for a while. Usually about every 2 months. And it's funny that it always boils down to one thing that we talk about constantly.
Excuse me.
And that's what value can we add to the client? What value can we add? Because what we're finding out is that everyone that's in business has clients. Okay. And when you boil down and you look at what you spend on your business and say, well, how much did I spend to get that client? Well, there's going to put some number on it.
Right.
Okay. And I always looked at it this way. Well, then I need to take care of this valuable asset in my business. I need to make sure that much of our effort is to add value to that group, because that's the group that's going to get you another group. And over the years, we've done quite a few things as far as the value goes. And someone was asking me the other day, so what are some of the I can go back. But one of the things was we sent ties to people. You'd have a conversation with somebody, say, "Oh, my son's going to Notre Dame," this type of thing. And next thing you know, we sent him a tie or Notre Dame tie.
Nice.
Little things like that. Little crazy stuff that
value-added quality service.
Or we send out some notes just to send it out.
No, and that's important.
No reason. Just send it out.
People love receiving stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, Frank?
We are
County Business Exchange Wednesday night show. John Campion with the co-host Frank Mezzapel and our great guest Pete Navarrete from the Lighthouse Wealth Management Group, and we'll be right back.
All righty.
Yo.
So,
Now you want to know what to buy?
yeah. Hey, how about Facebook?
How about Twitter? Fang stocks. They call them fangs. You know what they are? Facebook,
Right,
Amazon,
right.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Google 1 and 2. Just do Google.
Fang sucks.
Fang stocks.
Stocks. Oh, I thought you said sucks. I was like, yeah, they all do suck. I hate them.
Fangs. Amazon's a beast.
Oh, yeah.
That's that company. It's just-
Well,
And they can't figure it out.
They're starting to, they're soliciting now to get their own UPS to make their own delivery system.
Yeah, they've been fooling with that for a while, but they're gonna branch off into other this. The next big thing for them is pharmaceuticals.
Big money.
But you know who's interesting? There's a great company out there that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They see it because they go into it all the time. CVS. CVS is a monster. Not only are they a drugstore, but they provide prescriptions and drugs to lots and lots of states and their medical plans through CVS. And they're also getting ready to buy it. So what you're going to see is a CVS store. You're going to be able to go into that store and see a doctor. They just have their own clinics.
wasn't Walgreens kind of trying to do this?
Not big enough.
CVS is that much bigger than Walgreens.
Great stock, great story, very good company.
Walgreens,
No, CVS.
CVS.
Yes.
Yeah, because, you know, I like,
Walgreens actually used to live here. They had a house right over Selfish Point.
Pretty interesting things. But you know, it's funny in this town here. You see that the Jupiter Medical Center is opening a walk-in clinic right down here.
yeah, well, you know, they bought my doc. You know, I go to Dr. DeBay.
Yeah,
That's Jupiter Medical Clinic. And it's,
they're big time.
yeah, I mean, I went in there just to get, I needed a general practitioner because the one I had, I couldn't stand. And one day I went in, they go, well, you can have a nurse, not a nurse's aide, what do they call them? It's a physician's assistant. And I have one there, and I love them because they care about you. But the company, they implemented and did some nice things. Are we back on, Frank?
Yeah, we're back.
Sorry,
We're
it's been a
back.
few weeks on.
All right, a little Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Why is he doing that? Because on this date in 1969, over 400,000 people attended the weekend of rock music at Woodstock in New York.
That was this weekend, huh?
This weekend, 1969.
You know, trivia on that is a guy who works for me up in my Vero store
Yeah.
at European Kitchen and Bath, Jerry. I call him Crazy Jerry. I know he
Crazy.
can't hear me, but he's a great guy. He's 65 years old, and he is in one of the Woodstock main posters
Yeah.
down in the bottom. He zoomed in on it, and we're, of course, you know, now he's kind of got the solar love panel like me, and a little thin on top.
Hey,
And
listen, we all do.
he was, yeah, it was great. But you know, and he's actually he might be 65, but he's still at Woodstock. So
Yeah.
he's a great guy. Just love him to death. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I felt Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young kind of gives you that flavor of Woodstock, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
What's one of the crazier things you did back in your youth? Like, did you go to Woodstock?
No, we couldn't because we were somewhere else.
Okay.
We were somewhere else.
All right. Well, that's, you
We were
know,
out in the Hamptons
okay. Good. Well,
doing
that's
the thing out there.
all right. That's, you know, that's all right.
That's okay too.
Which was its own Woodstock.
Right.
That's
It
when
is.
you're out there going, I wonder what the little people are doing. Well, that's great. No, that's cool. That's very cool. So, yeah, and then I was too young. You know, I'm not like you guys. You know,
So I remember it was funny you talk about things like bands like
Yeah.
the Rascals.
Right.
Well, they were playing right down the street from this bar I worked in
Hmm.
on a barge.
wow.
This guy from New York, one of the New York barges, built a bar on top of it, towed it out to the Hamptons. He got permission to
So
bring it
where
out there.
was it? Like in the water, or was
Yeah,
it?
it was floating.
Okay,
Yeah, and the first band they booked there were the Rascals.
nice.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Ah,
It
very
was
cool.
crazy. It was some crazy people there.
See, at least he kind of remembers where were you, Frank?
1969, I was in school.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was in school. I was being a good one.
Yes, I was in
Okay.
school. I didn't graduate to 71, so
Okay, well,
yeah,
I was
just
playing.
in my junior year.
I was playing little league baseball
Yeah.
or something. You
Yeah.
know, in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I was, you know, my
I was
favorite.
out in the Hamptons.
There you go. Good. Yeah, I was probably watching Ernie Banks on
Oh,
WGN
Oh yeah.
with Jack Brickhouse announcing, you know,
Yeah,
back. Anyway, it's a cool
Yeah.
time.
yeah. It was.
Let's play
It was.
another, right?
That's right. Let's play two.
That's right.
Yeah, it's funny
Mr.
how you think back now and you think how things have changed, people change. You know, we were talking about this the other day, and I'm an old guy, you know, so I went from, you know, the 50s, you know, where you had the crew cuts and the things, and then the 60s, and then
Right.
went the opposite way,
Right.
and the 70s went both ways.
Yeah.
And the 80s came, and
Nice.
hello, you know. So, yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, what happens in the Hamptons stays in the Hamptons.
There was a video I was watching, and I forwarded it to my son, and it was talking about the dark singularity. Okay, well, singularity, you know, when we were in school, they were talking about dark black holes, and, you know,
Yes,
it's all has a
yes.
physics kind of connotation to it with space. But it also applies to radical changes that take place in culture, right? And so one of the radical changes, there was a photograph showed of a New York City street, 1900. It was all horse-drawn vehicles and one motor vehicle. One.
Right.
13 years later, same snapshot, same street.
Yeah.
There was one horse-drawn vehicle and all motor vehicles. That is what a singularity is like. So, boom, big change.
Yeah.
Big
That was-
technology.
Yes,
I
technology
have to
makes
say
big
one more
change.
thing
Yeah.
about the Hamptons.
Okay, back to that.
No, yeah, well, one good thing.
Yeah.
That's where I met. That's where I met.
Ah, all right.
50 years, you know.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, she came walking in the bar and I was there.
All right.
Nice.
That was it.
Wow.
That was
Nice.
it.
Good. Well,
Very good. Do you remember the music that was playing when she walked in?
I don't remember anything.
Ah, I see that.
he was smitten.
Ah.
Yeah, there was a band playing called The Loved Ones in Boston.
Okay. Well, at least she got that.
I can't remember the song we danced. Don't play with fire.
Okay.
That was it.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
no.
yeah, I remember that.
Coming back to it.
See?
now.
Wow,
Yeah,
it takes a while.
well, hey, you know, I mean, those memory chips got a little dust on them.
Exactly.
dude.
Well, I feel better now. Get the chip in there. Maybe
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Some
you
more
know,
blood to pump it up.
we're, you know, Pete is a very humble dude, but you know, he just went through a little correction.
A little procedure.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's got a little thing in him now.
Yeah.
It's you know, as we
And
know.
the
Do
beat
you mind if
goes
we
on.
talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I mean,
I mean-
you know, I
Did you invest in that technology company?
Medtronic,
Yeah.
of course.
See?
Inside trading here,
Yeah.
right now.
Medtronic, yeah.
We got hands-on knowledge.
Yeah, Medtronic.
He's got a pacemaker that's like the size of a little bullet case
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
prongs
it's
on it
a
that they.
New technology. They put it
It's
up through your
amazing.
femoral artery and
Yeah.
right into your heart. So it's beating away, I guess.
Yeah. They go, yeah, that lithium battery should last 17 years,
Well, that's
Pete.
what they said. They told me that's going to
Yeah.
do that. But the interesting thing, more interesting than that, is that as part of the program, that
Yeah.
you get this thing, they send you this phone-like.
The cell phone?
Yeah, well, that's not. It looks like a phone,
Yeah.
but what you do rather than go to the doctor's office, you just take this thing, you dial in the number of your little pacemaker in there, You just put it down pretty close by and it records it and sends it to somebody and I guess they call you up and say, hey, good for another 20 miles or what the hell they tell you.
They keep track of you.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somebody.
Hello. Yes. Thanks for calling. Sir. Let's help you, please.
Yeah.
Well, that's really. But Pete, when you showed me that thing, and
I know, it's amazing,
and,
isn't it?
and you know, it's really cool. So
It's impressive.
you know,
Yeah.
You know, when they can do things like that now, and this is now the way technology moves.
it's going to be just a little thing. Put it with the other chip in my wrist, so I can.
Now
get it.
there are people talking about, they call them nanobots that'll be small enough to be like the size of blood cells.
Yeah.
And
It goes in and takes a look at everything.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, congratulations on that.
Yeah,
And,
it's really cool.
yeah, it's totally cool.
You know, mentioning that, that's one of the areas that is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
There's two
Big growth there.
areas
Yeah.
that, you know, besides doing all the planning and stuff like that, I'm still involved in the market. Okay,
Yeah.
so I still, got my head in there. There's two areas that just fascinate me. One is robotics.
Yeah.
Okay.
AI. Mhm.
And the other one is the biotechnology.
Yeah.
The biotechnology group is a difficult one because, there's so many little tiny companies out there, some guys in the garage mixing up a batch of stuff that may work or may not work, and that's a
Yeah.
But there's ways to invest in that where you don't have to pick out one company. There's some ETFs and funds that you can, by doing that, you invest in, 70 or 80 or 90.
You don't get hurt
of this
if
type
they
of thing.
go fluid.
Yeah, because some of those things go by the wayside. The robotics thing is big time, and that has a medical application as well as industrial application, which to me is just absolutely fascinating. So those are two areas that if I was a young investor at this point,
Mhm.
I mean, we understand, we know, we got. Like
Yeah,
we were
because
talking about
you have to look at a
Facebooks.
horizon, like a 10 or 20-year
Yeah, but I
horizon.
mean, they're
right?
used to things like Facebook's, Apple,
Right.
Netflix, all those guys. But the next thing, okay, is all of these other types of things that
It's
are
the
out
gazillennials instead of the millennials. That'll be the next group with those. What we got? Like a minute left, Frank?
We're just shy. Well, minute plus.
All right.
minute
Well, I
30
want to, and not to
seconds.
cut you off on that,
Yeah.
Pete,
No,
but I
no.
think that I think we would be. We need to just have you kind of repeat your
Yeah.
location, your phone number,
Sure.
and it's Pete Navarrete.
UBS, East Ocean Boulevard, right next to Park Pharmacy, 772-223-6639. Call, I'll get you this book with all the information on the apps, and I can send you also the one on trust, which is pretty interesting.
Okay.
Look at it. So give me a call and I'll send it out to you.
Cool.
Great job, Pete. Thanks
You're
for
quite
being
welcome.
here.
I
today.
enjoy it. Thanks, MCPE.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, you bet.
And thank your wife for allowing you to be here today on your anniversary.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations again.
Yeah,
You bet.
thank you. Thanks.
We'll see y'all next week. Thank you very much. Martin County Business Exchange Show signing off. Till next week.
Stephen Barber.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought that along.
Good.
Thank you, John.
Pete, thanks, man.
Thank you, Frank.
So you just have to bring home